Hi, I'm Kalki, and this is My Indian Life from the BBC World Service. This is the video version, but you can also find the audio version wherever you get your podcasts from. I hope you've been listening to us, and if you do have a story that's inspired you or someone you know who's made an impression, then please write to us. We'd love to hear from you. Let's begin. This is Badshah performing in Delhi. The lights are low, the music is loud, and the crowd look like they're really enjoying every second of it. Badshah is a drag king, that is, a woman who performs dressed as a man. Her real name? Bidisha. And the reason she does this:
for me, the more I see how the society functions, the more I feel like there is this need, there is this urge to break out of all of that. It's not about being a man, it's about being fluid, basically. Like, you can be a man and have feminine traits, you can be a woman and have masculine traits. I just feel like fluidity in gender and understanding what femininity and masculinity means for both men and women is really necessary.
From the BBC World Service, this is My Indian Life. Stories about being young and Indian in the 21st century. I'm Kalki Koechlin. Episode 3, The Drag King. What does drag mean to you?
Drag basically is all about tearing apart gender norms that bind us into these molds of what a man should be like and what a woman should be like.
Yeah.
It's me asserting the fact that, yes, I am a woman, but I can also embody a man and I can perform as a man. I try to emulate a Persian prince or a Persian emperor kind of a vibe that I want to give out on stage. So I have a face full of facial hair. I try to wear these turbans and I try to make it a bit kinky with all these chains around me. Yeah, that's what I try to embody on stage. And I sing a lot of songs. Like, I really relate to Ranveer Singh and the looks that he has in the movies like Padmavat and stuff like that. So I like singing the songs from his movies and dancing the dance moves that he does.
Yeah, he's really like OTT and flamboyant.
Yeah, he is. And he's also very gender fluid in his fashion. He wears these skirts, which I really like. He's comfortable in his skin.
When you perform, what do you wear? Do you choose different things depending on your mood? How does it?
I really love the dhoti pants, the harem pants, the turbaned looks, as I said. But at the same time, I try to, bling it up, like make it a bit kinky and scandalous. I wore this leathered corset kind of a thing, and it had chains on it, gave a bit of a BDSM kind of a vibe. So, be traditional, be sanskari, but then kink it up a bit. That's how I go. Yeah.
So all of this, being a musician, being gender fluid, being a drag king, it's all a really, really long way from Shodhpur, the small town outside Kolkata where Bidisha grew up.
Both my parents are doctors, and my brother also recently got into medical school, and I was also supposed to be following their footsteps and getting into med school, but that clearly didn't happen.
Bidisha found herself on a different trajectory around the time puberty hit. She says she tried to do the things a young girl was expected to do, but it was difficult.
It felt forced. Like, it didn't feel something natural. Like, I wasn't comfortable in dresses ever. They also never really fit my physique, and I was never really comfortable in it, but I did give it an honest effort. But clearly it wasn't for me. Yeah, I dated 2 guys back in school, but those also clearly didn't work out for me. Yeah.
Okay, when did you start realizing your queerness?
When I was, say, around 15, I used to get taunted, mocked by the boys in the class who used to call me basically terms like hijra and stuff like that. I still remember clearly that I used to use the mailing service called Hotmail, and they used to mock me saying, I'm a hot male, Male. So I didn't understand where they were coming from and why they were mocking me the way they were. I found it very offensive, very, very offensive. But I brushed it off. And I feel like over the years, I've always known that I'm queer. I've always had these crushes on my teachers, which I thought was just admiration.
Right.
And that I adore them because of the way they would talk or the way they were. But it was actually like I was madly, madly crushing on them. But later on, I began realizing, and I started reading queer literature online and poetry. I remember there was this poem I was reading online called The Naked Girl in the Mirror. And it was on my iPad, and I hadn't closed the tab or something, and my mom saw it. And then there was this other story where I had written the story about two girls who were roommates.
You had written.
I had written this story when I was a kid, when I was
okay.
still discovering my queerness.
How old were you when you wrote that?
I think I was something around, 16?
Right.
You know, that's when like hormones start bubbling in your body. And I had written this story about two girls who were roommates who fall in love and they have something going on between them. And my mom had read that too. And
Wow.
very awkward conversations ensued after she did.
She actually admitted that she had read the story.
Yeah, she did. She did.
But she didn't want to know why you'd written it. Or...
Oh, no, not at all. No.
Bidisha won a scholarship to study music at La Salle in Singapore. It took her away from home for a while and gave her a chance to be much more independent. In time, she came out to her parents.
Actually, I had to come out to them twice. Once when I had broken up with my first girlfriend, I was just so devastated. I called them up and I told them, you know what, I am gay. I think I like girls. And they couldn't take it. It was my dad I talked to, and he was like, it's just a phase. You're there to learn music, focus on that. Don't think about all of these nonsense. The second time was when I had completed a year of education in my college, and I was with this woman. They had noticed I had a few pictures up online of the two of us together, and they were like, so what's happening? Like, what's going on? And then I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm in love with this woman. She's my girlfriend, and I'm lesbian. And that didn't really sit well with them.
Back home in Kolkata, Bidisha's mom, Aparna, agrees the news did not sit easily.
How much ever mental trauma it had created for us, she always used to push her own ideas. Even if we weren't prepared, we had to take it. And it had a lot of learning that we need to do for that.
I mean, you always knew, you know. It's not like you didn't know. I've been very clear about it with you, that this is who I am. It's not like it came as a shock to you.
But these questions that come from within is more important. What my parents would have said, what my conscience will say, that is what bothers me more.
When Bidisha came home to India from Singapore, relations with her parents were difficult. She found Amra Adbhut, a kind of haven for the queer community in Kolkata.
Amra Adbhut is a cafe and collective that is run by my friends Nandini and Upasana. They're both queer illustrators. They make really wonderful artworks that are queer and that play with all these really tender colors and about really beautiful incidents between queer people. And they have this cafe which often hosts and is a home to a lot of queer youth who have been cast away by the family, who've been disowned by their family. So their doors are always open for them to come and crash and stay for as long as they want to until they find a job maybe or a way to sustain themselves. Just whenever I go there, it feels like home. Like that's the only place in Kolkata maybe that makes me feel so at ease with myself and where I don't have to explain myself one little bit. Can be whoever I want to be.
Bidisha found she had to explain herself to her parents less and less too. They were, she says, on a journey.
I just think they were clueless about what I was going through, and I wouldn't blame them. It has been a learning curve for them. It has been a learning curve for me.
Bidisha's parents have come a long way. They might not have accepted her sexuality 100%, but they are getting there.
Okay, it's normal. If she thinks that she is a lesbian, it is okay with it. But nothing that has to be thrust upon as this is my identity. As aspiring middle class urban Indians, we would always want her to have a good career in music. And she has an extremely stupendous voice.
I don't have any objection to it. I'm okay with what she does. I mean, no problem at all from my side.
That's Bidisha's father.
I have a really kind relationship with my father. My father is a very kind man, and although he didn't understand in the beginning, he has come a long way in coming to terms with the fact that I'm queer. I might have a girlfriend in the future. So he's coming to terms with that because he follows me on Instagram. He sees all my posts that I write about body positivity, about being queer, and what queerness means to me. So because he's exposed to all of that, I think he's changing his opinions and his ideas about what it means to be queer and in today's day and age.
The change in the attitude of Bidisha's parents reflects a larger change in Indian society. In 2018, India decriminalized Article 377, a provision in the Indian Constitution which said that unnatural offences, which included same-sex intercourse, was illegal and punishable with imprisonment. Bidisha's first drag performance happened a couple of days after Article 377 was revoked, and it was a celebration.
I was in Delhi, and all the queens, the trans queens, the drag queens, and I was the only king among all of them. So it was a really, really surreal experience. And I was wearing these black and golden dhoti pants and a very flowy, layered sherwani kind of a pullover.
Okay.
And I had this glass tie, which was reflective. And I had a face of beard, and I performed, and I sang Preet ki lat mohe aisi lagi. So I sang that song, and the funny thing about that song is it's a man singing with female pronouns.
What did it make you feel? How did you feel?
I just felt like that was where I was meant to be. Like that was what I was supposed to be doing. And I just felt liberating to be doing that. And it was just performance for me. Yeah, and it was really surreal that night.
Did you feel any change of reaction from the audience? Like, because it was the first time you did it in drag, did you feel that the way you were on stage had a different kind of effect?
Impact.
Yeah.
People reacted to my art the way they are supposed to. They really enjoyed it. They cheered me on. I don't think they saw anything odd in what I was doing. I really received an overwhelmingly positive response from the people in the crowd.
Now, at this point, if you followed season 1 of My Indian Life, you might think there are echoes in Bidisha's story of one we brought to you before.
They had issue with it. They said, listen, stop doing this feminine thing. You cannot dance. You're a boy and behave like one. You are not supposed to dance because it's a very girly thing to do. All we want from you is just be a little rugged. Be a man. Don't behave like a girl.
Now, does that sound familiar? It's our much-loved Ishan Hilal from season 1. Bidisha got us thinking about Ishan. What happened to him? His story was so powerful, and we all kind of fell in love with him a bit. We just had to call him in to get an update. Ishan, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
You're looking great.
Thank you.
Have you grown taller, or is it just your hair?
I think just hair right now. Can I have just
hairstyle.
puffed them a little up, yeah.
It looks great.
Thank you.
So, we want to know, how has your life changed? Has it changed at all after the episode came out on My Indian Life?
Oh yes, definitely a bit. Yes, there are people who comes up to me and says that we've heard your podcast and it's your story is absolutely inspirational. We're in the awe of the fact how you came out of your closet and how you dealt with your parents and all the situations. And some of the school fellas comes up to me and they said, we are sorry. the way we treated you in school life. We judged you so badly for big time, and then we never realized that you could be a nice human. And we are so sorry, and we are really ashamed.
How
And
did you feel when
I was in tears, honestly, because I felt like those were the days I was thinking that why these people are not understanding me, what are the wrong things I'm doing, and why am I so wrong to these people? But now I understood that we need to deliver a message in a very right way to these people rather than just walking out of their whole persona. We need to face them off. It's very important to face them off and tell them that what you think about yourself, what you think about your life. And then the moment I realized that since I am coming out of it this way and I'm talking about my lifestyle, about myself, people are actually accepting me the way I am. So this podcast gave me immense lots of confidence and courage so that I can stand in front of the people and can tell them that who are really I am. So
Yeah.
it's been amazing.
And your parents?
Now I can sit with my mom, tell
Have you
her.
come out to your parents?
Actually, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've told to my mom about it because I'll tell you this incident what happened. She comes up to me and she's like, "There's something wrong with you. What's happening? You're a sex worker." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yes, I'm so upset with you. You're doing this really wrong thing." I was like, "Who told you this?" She was like, "My friends, they are saying that your son is a sex worker." And I was like, where does it coming from? Just because I'm a belly dancer, I perform, that does not make me a sex worker. You need to understand this whole thing. I'm a performer, I'm an artist, I perform belly dancing and I get paid for that. That's not called what you're talking about. And what if they're talking about my sexuality, they're calling me Namard. English translation Namard is impotent. Having an alternate sexuality is something else. If I'm gay, bisexual, or something else, that doesn't make me impotent. Even if someone is impotent, that's not a problem. That's something which we need to take it very seriously. We need to understand something with that. And she was like, so you're not this and that, then why don't you marry a girl? Then I gave her an example. So now this is again something very personal. I said, listen, you're in this marriage. We are 4. And are you happy? She's like, no. Like, exactly. Your husband is so-called mard. And you're not happy. We are 4. And then do you understand this? So I don't want to marry a girl and spoil her life. I want to marry someone with whom I can just stay happy, make him or her happy. That's what love and this relationship is all about.
How have you changed in the past 1 year? I can already see a lot of changes, but I want to hear it from you.
Honestly, I'm very confident right after that podcast. I think there were lots of things that I wasn't able to say in front of public. I couldn't even accept about myself. But right after sharing it with the whole world across the globe, because there are people who are not reaching out to me only from India, but from places like London, places like Australia. Like I've been getting these amazing messages from different countries through these social media, and they've been appreciating my work and they're appreciating my personality and the courage. And I kind of realized that I've arrived a little late, but I think this is the right time. And I should live my life the way I'm living. And I feel more confident now.
So, with these 2 talented, charming, and queer young Indians with me in the My Indian Life studio, I asked both whether they think the culture in India has changed since the law criminalizing homosexuality, Section 377, was overturned.
After Section 377, I think the only impact that has been there is constitutional. In our day-to-day lives, there is still a lot of judgment that we have to face. As I said, like you can't really hold your lover's hand and walk down the road and not be stared at and not be judged by people. That still remains. And for example, we don't have marriage right. Like I would really love to get married to my partner someday and receive those equal rights. Even if I don't get married, I would want us to have those rights. One thing that has visibly changed after revoking of Section 377 is queer parties, like the ones that Kitty Sue hosts. They can advertise about it and they have all queer artists on board, and the way the drag scene is being celebrated, all of this has changed a lot.
I tell you, there's this club I usually go to, Delhi. I remember when this abolishment happened, I went to that club with my friends and everyone was applauding and hugging as if it's my birthday. And I was like, guys, it's just another world altogether. Thank you. And they were kissing me, all those straight guys, they were kissing me and loving me and hugging me. They were like, we are so happy for you. Now we can legally kiss you and hug you, And I felt so lovely and I felt like this is fabulous. Just because of after this abolishment thing, There's amount of acceptance I'm seeing around. There's amount of love I'm seeing around in the air. People are so open about it. People are talking about the issues where they never used to talk about it. So yeah, things has changed a bit. And I think we're going to go more ahead in this.
Listening to the very different responses by Ishan and Bidisha here, I do want to ask the question, does gender play a role in how difficult it is in India to come out? I wonder if it's more difficult still for women who are gay as opposed to men who are gay. What's certain is that both Bidisha and Ishan are out and proud about their sexuality, which they express in their art. They have learned to be unapologetic about who they are. It hasn't been easy for either of them. I hope Ishan is right, that there is a new kind of acceptance now, and that it will be easier for the next generation than it was for his. Something tells me they're both going to be absolutely fine. And we really, really cannot finish this episode or complete this episode without listening to Bidisha's very sweet voice.
ऐसा क्यों है कि जब है मेरी तरफ 100 आँखें, मेरी नजरें तो बस ढूंढे तुझे, कैसा होता अगर होती तू मेरी बाहों में, मैं तो बस सोच में खोया था, तूने मेरी तरफ देखा और धीरे से मुस्कुरा के मेरे पास आके कानों में कहा, let's dance baby.
Remember, if you're listening to us on a podcast app, there's a subscriber button. Do press it. It won't cost you anything. And it will ensure that you get our new episodes automatically. And please do spread the word. Tell your friends, write reviews, post on social media. Just whatever you can do, guys, to help us reach more listeners. We're counting on your support. You can tell us what you think of this story or any of our others. All you have to do is send an email to myindianlife@bbc.com. Our producer Ishleen has been looking at some of your recent messages. Ishleen?
Thanks, Kalki. You might remember in last week's episode, we spoke to up-and-coming rap star Ahmed Javed about his life growing up in Kashmir and finding out how that's influenced his music. Priyanka was listening and says, all of us should know where our home is, because that's where our heart is. That's where we belong. The worst feeling in this world is to belong nowhere. No place to call home. And a lot of you are sending your love. Preeti says, I love listening to your podcast. And Alan says, I've been waiting for this second season. Well, it's here. We hope you're enjoying it, Alan. And we have some international fans as well. Thanks to Ndene from the Gambia for saying hi. He says, I love your series. I'm Gambian, but there's a lot I'm learning about Indian life. We love to hear that. And let us know where else in the world you're listening to My Indian Life. And if you want to hear more about Ishan, who we heard from again in today's episode, then don't forget, all the episodes from Season 1 of My Indian Life are still available to download. In fact, Ishan featured in the very first episode of My Indian Life, which is why he's so special to us. So, if you're new to the podcast, then you're in for a treat. It's a really fascinating story about how he became a belly dancer. Yes, you heard that right. That's all in Season 1. So, download the entire series, binge on every episode, and tell us what you think by emailing us at myindianlife@bbc.com. Now, back to you, Kalki. What have we got in store next week?
Thanks, Ishleen. Next time on My Indian Life, when I announced my pregnancy publicly on social media, where's the husband? And like,
people are so nosy.
Shame on you, and all those things. Even in interviews, I get asked a lot about when are you going to get married now that you're pregnant. That's our next episode, Kalki in Parentland. My Indian Life is an original podcast from the BBC World Service. I'm Kalki Koechlin. Our producers are Ishleen Kaur and Prabjeet Bains. And thank you very much to our editor, Richard Penton Smith.